All right, everybody. Thank you. Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Apex and Wavvest webinar, Powering Personalized Financial Advice in the AI Era. My name is Sandra. I'm part of the Apex team, and I'll be your moderator for today. Before we get started, I'd just like to thank all of you for taking time to join us. In today's session, we'll explore why builders build on Apex, specifically when they are building AI tools. We'll focus on the powerful collaboration between Apex and Wavvest, one of those builders, and an Apex client. First, we'll kick off with a quick overview of Apex and Wavvest for those who may not be familiar with our companies or what we do. Next, we'll dive into a Wavvest demo, giving you an overview of Wavvest tools built on Apex infrastructure. And lastly, we'll open the floor to a Q&A session where we'll address as many of your questions as we can. Rest assured, if we don't get to your question during the webinar, we will follow up with you individually via email. Before we dive in, quick housekeeping note. Please feel free to type your questions into the chat box at any time during the webinar. We'll either address them during the Q&A session or follow up with you afterwards via email. All right, let's meet our speakers. We're fortunate to have two incredible speakers with us today. John, will you please introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. John Stewart, VP of Global Business Development, essentially supporting the great Apex colleagues in sales, business development, marketing, and sales engineering to help great brands solve hard problems in wealth and brokerage. Thanks, everyone.
All right, thank you, John. All right, Brendan?
Hi, everybody. Brendan King. I'm one of the co-founders here at Wavvest. I'm also the CEO. I've also got my co-founder, Simon Bennett, sitting with me. Wavvest, we're a fintech platform. We're transforming how RAs are delivering advice to the next generation of wealth. Really excited to show you some of the really cool AI tools that we've built today. Our partnership with Apex is really strong. We love working with them. We're really excited to show you all the cool things we've built on top of their infrastructure. And thanks for being here.
All right, thank you so much, Brendan. Now that you've met our expert panel, let's jump right in. John, can you start by telling us a bit more about Apex?
Great. And we want this to be the Wavvest demo, so we don't want to spend too much time on Apex, but it is important to understand foundationally the platform and the capabilities that Apex delivers. So for over a decade, Apex, as a custody, clearing, and execution platform in the cloud, has been delivering modern capabilities to the builders and the RIAs and the financial advisors of the world to go through digital transformation and deliver unique experiences to their customers and their financial advisors globally. We support over 200 registered investment advisors, broker dealers, non-regulated entities, foreign financial institutions, and helping them form and shape a platform into the experiences that they want to deliver to their customers. We have $225 billion of assets under custody, and we've opened 22 million brokerage accounts. And we have pioneered the capabilities around fractional equity trading, digital account opening, ACATS, which I'll jump into in a minute. We not only support correspondence domestically, but we touch over 170 countries today. So that is foreign financial institutions offering their end investors the ability to access US markets. So that is someone who might have a checking account in Latin America that wants to buy and sell a dollar of Microsoft. We enable that not only domestically, but through foreign financial institutions. And we do that with about 1,000 employees today across 8 offices globally. So we are not just a startup anymore. We've been in this game for, like I said, for over a decade, and we've supported many, many institutions, and we've seen just about every different flavor of how we support custody, clearing, and execution for our clients. We have 4 lines of business. Today, mostly talking about financial advisory. So that is the firms that want to go through digital transformation, get off a legacy custodian that might be processing batch files, overnight capabilities onto a real-time 24/7 ledger with modern technology in the cloud. We support retail brokerage as well, often the self-directed trader, the robo-advisors that have a risk tolerance questionnaire and automate and scale that process into a rebalancer. We have in-house tax and cost basis. So we have a SaaS solution that we license out independently to not only Apex clearing clients, but also those that are either in an omnibus solution or self-clearing. And then we have an institutional business, which is domestic and foreign financial institutions trading on an institutional level with our trade desk. We have been doing this for over a decade. We started with digital account opening, and like I said, we've opened over 22 million brokerage accounts today. We've then enabled our clients to participate in our roadmap through client-driven development, helping us define digital ACATs, going into API rebalancing, leveraging fractional equity trading, as well as fixed income, enabling all of these services. And in 2023, spending a couple $100 million, we've started to migrate all of those services into the cloud with a completely cloud-native, real-time, 24/7 ledger that is no longer batch processing or an overnight or a start-a-day file. So we did that for the likes of Wavvest to have a dream, imagine what it might be like to have a new financial advisory experience or a new client experience. And we built this solution for the likes of Wavvest to build a brand new experience on top of our platform. We think about this with compartmentalized services, and all of that manifests together in what we call the Ascend OS, so the Ascend operating system. And that is breaking apart each piece of custody, clearing, and execution and delivering that over API in unique services, meaning account opening, account funding, order management can all be used within one entire stack, or you can pick and choose pieces of our platform to enable or complement an existing architecture. All of that sits on top of our books and records. We are the custodian, we are the clearing firm, we are the execution agent, and helping custody of those assets in a more modern architecture, and then sitting on top of our Google Cloud instance, where we provide lots of data available in API and also business intelligence capabilities with custom reports and custom alerts, all with real-time webhooks and system event powered by, again, that real-time ledger. And we built all that for a new type of client, and that client is the developer. And the developers are building and taking these solutions and creating the unique experiences that we'll see today on the Wavvest platform. So we've designed API guides, references, SDKs, and sandboxes for modern developers from startup RIAs all the way up to some of the world's largest financial institutions to take our capabilities and bring them into their environment, integrate systems, and deliver new experiences to their end clients. And so we do that with the developer community, as well as we have UIs and capabilities for traditional advisors that potentially want to have a direct to Apex experience. But when you want to have something a little bit more modern, a little bit more scalable, a little bit more AI enabled, we partner with the likes of Wavvest to bring those solutions to life. So I'm going to pass it real quickly to the Wavvest team, quick orientation of Wavvest, and then we'll go into a demo.
Thanks, John. Thanks for laying all of that out. It's very clear that Apex has the best infrastructure in the industry to allow firms like Wavvest to build differentiated experiences. So thanks for laying all of that out for us. So I'll talk really high level, 30,000 foot view on what Wavvest is right now. So Wavvest is an end-to-end operating system for RIAs. That's the highest level of what we are. We're essentially existing to solve two problems. One is to solve the next-gen engagement problem that a lot of registered investment advisors have today. So we've all probably heard the stats, 70 to 80% of inheritors are leaving their parents' investment advisor when money turns over. That's a big existential problem for a lot of these firms. We want to try to help solve that by creating a more digital, more fintech-like experience that these RIAs can leverage. That's kind of one side of the coin. The other side of the coin and the other side of our value prop is to produce all of this advisor productivity tooling that helps lower the cost to service the next generation of wealth. So we'll go through today how we do that on top of Apex's infrastructure. We have some really cool AI native financial planning tooling that we're going to spend a lot of time demoing, but wanted to give you guys sort of the 30,000 foot view of Wavvest before we dive into anything further.
So a couple, capabilities to note would be cloud native custody and clearing, real-time account opening, real-time ledger available 24/7, and a set of tools designed for developers, like I said, to manifest and build and bring their dreams to life. And so the left-hand side is platform capabilities designed for developers. Right-hand side is the products and the vendors and the partners that sit on top of us that enhance our capabilities side by side to the Apex platform. So, Brendan, I'll pass it to you if you want to review the Wavvest offering, and then we'll jump right into a demo.
Yeah, sounds great, John. Thank you. So there's sort of four categories of things that are laid out here, and you'll see in the demo we're gonna show you some of this. So we have advisor and investor portals, right? So we want to have this central hub for advisors to view portfolios, to view client information, to manage financial plans, and then because we are end to end, we do have end client or what we refer to as investor portals, where we want to replicate that direct to consumer like experience, but do that through existing sort of brick and mortar legacy RIAs. So that's kind of the first category of things. The financial planning engine, which we've branded as Wavvest Planning, it's a flexible AI-based financial planning tool. It's definitely the crown jewel of the Wavvest platform. Really excited to show you guys that today. We have other features like an AI note taker. We won't have time to talk through any of that today. And then a big part of what we do for firms, we're essentially an outsourced back office. So when we talked earlier about what our value prop is, right? Lowering the cost to service the next generation of wealth. If an RIA can outsource a lot of the blocking and tackling, the trading, the rebalancing, the money movements, all the things that we can do really efficiently through the platform that Apex gives us to build on top of, it's a really, really alluring value proposition for an RIA. So that's us, and I think we can probably switch over to a demo. Great. Okay, so we're going to talk through first sort of the three legs of the stool of Wavvest's product matrix. And we already sort of talked a little bit about this. So we've got an end client mobile app, end client web portal. Those are for what we're referring to as investors. So the clients of RIAs. Then we've got this advisor portal that houses all of the portfolio accounting, the financial planning tooling, all of the cool stuff that we've been able to build on top of the APIs that Apex gives us access to. So we're going to spend the first part of the demo looking at the end client web portal. It's a great data gathering mechanism to then port information into the financial planning tool that we'll spend a lot of time on. I would say there's sort of two parts of this demo. The first part is really relevant to the end investor. So if you're an RIA listening to this webinar, this is the type of experience we're trying to create that makes you as an RIA look and feel more modern, look and feel like a direct-to-consumer fintech. On the advisor portal side, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about Wavvest Planning. If you're a direct-to-consumer fintech and you're looking for financial planning functionality, there's a lot of functionality there that you'll probably be interested in. So whether you're an RIA or you're an existing Apex client, there's something here that you'll be able to leverage. So let's kick right into a demo. So what you're seeing here is our end investor portal. So this is an implementation that we actually did for one of our RIAs. It's a billion-dollar firm here in Chicago. Wavvest is headquartered in Chicago, called Coil Financial. So Coil uses Wavvest and Apex to actually custody client assets. So we have the ability to open up a big array of different account types, so taxable brokerage accounts, typical RIAs, Roth IRAs. We have the ability to view consolidated balance sheet by linking accounts via Plaid. So if clients have external brokerage accounts, checking accounts, anything that they want to aggregate in one place, they're able to do that via Plaid. Again, this is really good data gathering for what we'll show you on the financial planning side in a second. So assets, liabilities, again, we're just trying to create a modern looking view of the overall balance sheet, tracking net worth over time, tracking asset allocation across a bunch of different accounts, tracking holdings across different accounts, so assets that are held with Apex and Wavvest, assets that are held outside. And then we have a dedicated section down below for the accounts that Coil actually manages on behalf of their clients, where, again, we can see asset allocation by account, any sort of recent transfers, all the various holdings underneath the hood. We have a risk scoring mechanism when somebody signs up for the platform. We're working on ways to allow RIAs to customize that over time. So customers go through a risk tolerance questionnaire, they get mapped into portfolios, and we're able to rebalance those portfolios using the infrastructure that Apex gives us. It's an incredible rebalancer that we use on a daily basis. So now we're going to walk through the process of actually opening up an account. So we have the ability, like I said earlier, to open up taxable brokerage accounts, retirement accounts, so traditional IRAs, rollover IRAs, Roth IRAs, any sort of goal-aligned accounts, as well as how we sort of set up our account naming mechanism. So we can open up accounts for if a customer has a major purchase goal that they want to fulfill, or they want to supplement their income. they can open up separate accounts for those types of goals. So we're going to actually open up major purchase, supplement income. We're selecting sort of a time horizon when we want to make this major purchase. We're going to quickly click confirm. We're going to agree to all of the sort of regulatory documents that need to be agreed to. And then boom, just like that, we've got accounts opened. So we've got our supplement income account, we've got our major purchase account. All of that's able to be done in real time, in seconds, using the APIs that Apex gives us access to. So when we were trying to decide who we wanted to partner with on the custody front, we kicked those tires incredibly hard. And it was very clear to us that Apex was the only custodian that would give us the ability to build an experience like this. So, the real-time account opening, we go back to Apex or Wavvest's value prop that I laid out at the beginning, right? The ability to open up accounts instantly is something that's far above and beyond the capabilities that you're going to get from the legacy custodians. So that was the end investor portal. Now we're going to switch over to the client or to the advisor portal, excuse me. And we're going to talk a little bit about just some of the portfolio accounting stuff here. And then we're going to spend most of the rest of the time talking about Wavvest Planning, which, like I said, is sort of the crown jewel of the Wavvest platform. So we're in this clients section. Again, it's just some light portfolio accounting. We're in the Weave advisor portal. So this is advisor facing functionality. We've got that supplement income account, that major purchase account that we just opened up in real time. All of that filters across to the advisor side. We're able to see those accounts down below. Again, this view is very similar to the client side. It's just it's a portfolio accounting. We're trying to get all of the balance sheet into one place. So that's what you're seeing here on the advisor side. Now we're going to pop into Wavvest Planning. The rest of our time here will be spent talking about Wavvest Planning. Like I said, this is the crown jewel of the Wavvest platform. I would say this is the most differentiated part of our platform. The way that this works in real simple terms, we take any type of context that we can gather, statements. We'll talk about how Apex custodial data flows into the tool. We'll talk a little bit about other forms of context that can pop into this. We use natural language. We turn all of that into a fully baked out financial plan. So we're going to walk through kind of in rapid fire fashion here, a couple of examples. So we're going to put some Apex data into the tool. I'm going to select a sample customer. I'm just going to select some sample accounts for myself. So we're loading in some Apex accounts. So all of that custodial data is automatically flowing into the tool. And then we're going to put a prompt into the tool that we just kind of copied and pasted. We'll zoom in a second and we'll show you what we're actually putting in this prompt. So as you can see, we've put in a prompt. This would be sort of like an after action report, right? You meet with the client tells you I have X, Y, and Z needs that I want to see modeled out. Well, you take those notes, you simply copy and paste them into the tool, and then the tool is going to build out a plan. We'll talk about how it's actually doing that in a second. So in this particular example, I'm going to use myself and my wife, Haley. We have kind of three things that we want to model out here. So we want to buy a house. Let's say we want to buy $1 million house here in Chicago in 10 years. I just had a son. He's 7 months old. We know he's like super smart, so he's definitely going to go to Harvard. So we want to model out, can we afford to send Roman to Harvard in 18 years? And I think the answer probably is no, given how much education is inflating. And then we want to just do sort of like a general purpose retirement readiness check. So again, just to reiterate, Wavvest Planning, take context, take natural language inputs, and then all of that is going to turn into a fully baked out financial plan. The best way to use this tool is to be as sort of detailed as possible. Any sort of financial planning is going to be garbage in and garbage out, right? If you give the tool a lot of context, if you give the tool a lot of information, then it's going to produce something that's a lot more thoughtful, right? So you want your prompts to be as sort of detailed as possible. So as this thing's loading up, I'm going to walk through kind of what's actually going on the back end, right? So there's essentially three components of Wavvest Planning that are relevant here, or three separate steps. The first step is an AI agent that's just absorbing context, right? So we've got our Apex data that's been piped into this tool, so it's absorbing all of the underlying holdings and asset allocation and all of that. That's one layer of context. It's also absorbing context from our prompt, right? So we asked about the cost of Harvard education in 18 years. So it's going out to the internet to figure out, well, what does Harvard cost now? What is a reasonable inflation assumption that we can use to see how that cost will grow? It's going out and just pulling in all of that context. The second step in this process is to do some math. So up until recently, AI kind of sucked at doing math. So to make this a little bit more deterministic from a math standpoint, we hard coded a calculator into the tool. The third step, which is really where the magic happens, and as you see this plan that's generated on the right-hand side, the third step is to write code. So we're showing this little summary that it's outputted, but here's the actual financial plan. This plan is the result of uniquely generated code that was written on the fly to render what we asked the plan to render, right? So we asked for some home purchase projections, we asked for some education planning, we asked for some retirement readiness. So we were able to do all of this on the fly by writing code on the fly. So because of the way we've architected this tool, we've basically made financial planning infinitely flexible. You give the tool context, you tell the tool, hey, I want to model something out. It's actually just going to build that for you on the fly using all of the context. One thing that we find super important about AI is you need AI to be as transparent as possible. So we've architected this to have the tool outline all of the assumptions and all the inputs that are going into it, right? There's this concept in AI called human in the loop. You still need to be the human being that checks the output, that verifies that the output is correct. And on our side, we do everything possible to ensure that's true. You should stress test the assumptions of this tool. So that's kind of what we're going to do here. We're going to ask it, hey, can you lay out how you derive the cost of Harvard when Roman would attend? What sort of underlying assumptions are you using to generate the calculations you've generated? And the tool will be very transparent. It will give you back exactly what it did, right? So again, going back to that sort of human in the loop concept, we want you as an advisor to make sure that you're testing the output, you understand what the underlying assumptions are. Of course, at Wavvest, we do everything possible to make sure that we eliminate hallucinations and make sure that output is accurate. But the tool is incredibly transparent and it's designed to be as transparent as possible. So we think this is a really cool kind of brief example of how you could do some scenario analysis based on a client conversation that you've had. But that's not all that it can do. We have a lot of clients that use this as a transition proposal tool, right? So you've got a legacy portfolio. Your firm probably maintains a list of model portfolios. You've won a new piece of business. How are we going to transition it? Well, you could use this template that we've designed in Wavvest Planning to lay out, here's the existing portfolio, here's the models. You can create little widgets in the tool to sort of model out the trade-off between tax impact and tracking error. All of these things are really just there. And the way we've architected this to be flexible is to enable you as an advisor to have a really good conversation with a client. So how you'd use this in practice, you'd pull up this template that we have, you'd put a prompt in, and we'll walk through what's going on in the prompt. We'll attach some external files. So in this case, it's a brokerage statement that you've been given from a client. They've asked you, hey, make some sense of this. How can we transition this portfolio over to your firm? You pop that context in, and then you're off to the races. So in this particular example, we'll zoom in on the prompt. We want to transition the legacy portfolio into a portfolio, some hypothetical portfolio. It's 50% VOO, 15% some US and small cap, 20% in some international exposure, and then 15% in core bonds. So we gave the tool that prompt, and then the tool goes off to work writing all the code to create the plan. So I used to be an advisor in a past life. This process that you just saw here, right? This process of absorbing a bunch of legacy holdings, figure out how we're going to transition it to a new portfolio. That process would have taken me a week. And, I wasn't being paid very much to do it. And so it was a really cumbersome way to go about creating transition plans. We were able to generate a fully baked out, and you'll see in a second, really thoughtful transition plan in a matter of seconds, right? So we're absorbing all of this context, and then we're rendering back something that could be really useful for clients, right? Financial planning at the end of the day, it's about having useful clients or having useful conversations with your client, making them feel like you're being thoughtful, making them feel like you understand their situation, right? So creating a phased implementation plan over a couple of tax years, being really thoughtful about how we're going to transition a portfolio at the outset of a relationship with a client. This level of detail, this level of sort of hand-holding is going to make you look really good as an advisor. So we've walked through a sort of everyday financial planning and modeling example, which was the example we used of myself and my education planning and home purchase. We walked through a transition proposal. Now we're going to talk through tax planning. So it's not just everyday financial planning or investments. We can actually analyze tax returns as well. So a lot of our advisor base, they'll use this as like a Halista plan replacement, or they'll use this just to get some general information about what's going on with a client's tax picture. A lot of our clients are also using this to scrape estate planning documents. So the tool is really good at parsing through PDFs, understanding what's going on underneath the hood. So if you've got a client that already has an existing estate plan and you want to model out, okay, where are assets going to distribute once the grantor passes, this is the type of modeling you can do within the tool. It's not just simple revocable living trusts. You can look at grats, you can look at slats, ILETs, any sort of more complex irrevocable trusts. All of that is on the table with Wavvest Planning. So we've got some other templates in here that we want to walk through. This is a template library that Wavvest has built out that our advisor base is leveraging. We do a lot of direct indexing with our clients. Apex gives us the tools to be able to do that direct indexing through their platform at really low minimums. So a lot of our clients love doing direct indexing through Wavvest and Apex. You can model out the benefits of doing direct indexing with us, right? So what's the delta between, just buying a traditional index fund versus doing direct indexing? How can we quantify the overall tax alpha from doing direct indexing with us? These are the types of things that you want to model out. And again, you want to have a really good conversation with your clients about these types of things. So all of this is something that's possible within Wavvest Planning. Got a few other templates. I know we're rocking through this in rapid fire fashion, but we want to give you sort of the full complement of what this tool can do. Equity comp is something that we see a lot of our advisor base modeling out. So if you've got clients that have some RSUs, they want to understand, should I exercise? What are the tax implications of exercising? What's going to happen if the stock goes to X? All of that is on the table with Wavvest Planning. We like to say that Wavvest Planning is sort of the Swiss Army knife of financial planning tools. Again, the only limits to it are really your own imagination. So we're really excited about this. If you're an RIA and you want to leverage the tool, feel free to reach out. If you're an Apex client, we're working with Apex on figuring out a way to get you guys access to this tool. So more to come there, but really appreciate the opportunity to demo this, and I'll turn it back to you, Sandra.
All right. So thank you for that, Brendan. We're now moving into the final part of our session today, which is a live Q&A. I do see some questions have started to come in. Again, this is your chance to ask us about Apex or any of the Wavvest offerings reviewed today. You'll see the Q&A feature in the webinar platform. Go ahead and type any questions there. We'll do our best to get through as many as we can in the time we have. If we don't get to your question during the live session, no need to worry. One of our members of our team will follow up after the webinar and respond to any unanswered questions via email. With that, let's get started. I see, like I said, we have a few questions in. The first one I see here is, it's a question for Wavvest. How do you see your platform changing in the coming year? Brendan?
Yeah, so I think for us, like our big goal and our big vision is to be as vertically integrated as possible, right? So I think during the demo I mentioned that I spent about a decade as an advisor, and I saw some really good advisor tech and I saw some really bad advisor tech. And typically what differentiates the two, the bad advisor tech was usually a tech stack that was cobbled together point solutions, right? So I think a lot of RAs, if you're listening to this, my guess is you have 4 or 5 different sources of truth on your client base. So for us, being really vertically integrated, where the portfolio accounting tooling talks to the rebalancer talks to the portfolio accounting tool, a CRM that's native to the platform kind of ties it all together, and you sort of use AI as the glue to tie it all together. So vertical integration is really where we're heading. Our big bet is that a totally vertically integrated platform is now more possible than ever due to AI. And so building more functionality that an advisor needs in one place, managing one software subscription, working with one vendor. In the future, we think that an advisor tech stack can be email, compliance, and Wavvest, and that's it. And so I think that's the big theme that I want to get across is vertical integration is what we think is going to win long term.
All right, thank you for that. The next question is, how does the tool handle outside accounts? Do clients have to link everything through Plaid, or can we upload documents and still get a complete balance sheet? Brendan?
Yeah, great question. So a couple ways you can get context into the tool. Plaid is a great way to do it. That data just flows right in. If you want that sort of all-in-one balance sheet view, Plaid, because most clients are going to have external accounts that are held away from your firm, and that's fine. But being able to pull the data in is important. So pulling in data via Plaid, obviously having the connectivity to Apex and that Apex information flowing into the tool is really valuable. But the tool can also parse through statements and it can account for, if somebody doesn't connect things through Plaid, it can still create that consolidated balance sheet view. You just have to, you as the advisor just have to understand the totality of the context, right? You need to make sure that everything is uploaded to the tool. So Plaid data, Apex data, statements, it doesn't really matter. The tool will account for it, but you as an advisor need to kind of make sure that you're entering everything in correctly.
Awesome. Okay, next question. If the AI generates a plan and something looks off, can we drill into the assumptions? Can the tool show us exactly how it calculated things like income, savings rate, fees, and projected retirement outcomes?
It definitely can. And I think one of the things that we really want to reiterate, and we sort of touched on this during the demo, you as an advisor still need to be that human in the loop, right? AI is not perfect. Anyone selling an AI tool that says that their AI is 100% perfect is lying to you, and we won't do that. I think we've done everything we possibly can to make sure we eliminate any sort of hallucinations, we eliminate any inconsistencies. But I think this concept in AI, and we're all just going to have to figure out how we collectively work with AI going forward, because this really is the future. This is where the puck is going. You still need to be that human in the loop to verify, right? So the example we gave in the demo was just ask the tool, right? Just say, hey, where did you get this assumption? What are the underlying nuts and bolts underneath the calculation that you've done? Show me the actual calculation. The tool will do that. So, just really emphasizing this human in the loop approach as it relates to AI. And that goes across AI just in general, right? No matter what you're using it for, you should test its assumptions. You should ask it to be transparent. And we've architected the tool to do that.
Thank you for that. Okay. Next question is, how customizable is the planning output? Can we adjust recommendations, run our own scenarios, or generate our own templates for specific types of clients like pre-retirees or business owners?
Absolutely. And actually, for business owners, that's a use case that we see all the time across our client base, because the traditional financial planning tools that are out there, they don't really handle, and being a business owner isn't an edge case, but there are a lot of edge cases out there that the traditional financial planning tools just simply cannot accommodate. So we have some advisors that work like exclusively with dentists. A lot of the traditional financial planning tools are not going to be able to model out like the growth of a dental practice and pull in information from the internet on, comparable businesses and be able to model things out in that way. I think that's where Wavvest Planning really, really shines, is in situations where the traditional tools just can't accommodate it. And we want to create something that, allows you to have that thoughtful conversation with an end client. So the way a report looks is customizable. You can customize the design, the contents, the underlying context. You can choose what context, you can choose what sort of like websites the tool is scraping from. If you take anything away from what Wavvest Planning is, it's the most flexible financial planning tool ever created.
Awesome. And then we do have some other questions. They have been answered on the chat Q&A, but I think they're really good ones, so I'm going to go ahead and ask them anyways. The first question here is ability to incorporate indexed universal life insurance as part of a holistic financial plan.
Yes, that is something that we didn't anticipate as being like such a heavy use case for the tool. We actually have some like insurance brokers that use this now. So we designed this for RIAs. When we started talking to some insurance folks, they said, we need a way to sort of summarize policies, create outputs for our clients. So, we do have a partnership with an insurance provider that allows us to facilitate the purchase of term life insurance, but I think Wavvest Planning is really good at modeling out other types of insurance other than just plain vanilla term. So pulling in policies, being able to explain what's actually going on underneath the hood of a policy, all of that is on the table with Wavvest Planning. It's something that we've seen a lot of our advisor base finding a lot of value in, because there aren't a lot of tools that can accommodate that. So yeah, I think that's a great use case for Wavvest Planning.
Okay, next question. You mentioned that you are using both on-the-fly generated code and hand-coded algorithms for generating these reports. Can you speak more to which part of that code are dynamically generated versus calls to those hand-coded algorithms? It was a long question, sorry.
Sure, sure. I think let me answer this in maybe a little bit of a less technical way, because maybe it'll benefit most of the audience. So I think when you look at AI and you look at the way that we're doing financial planning, there's a deterministic way to do financial planning, which is kind of how the legacy providers do it. And then there's a non-deterministic way to do it, which is sort of how we do it. We're also now trying to bridge the gap a little bit to where we've had a lot of our RIAs say, hey, the flexibility of this tool is incredible. We love it. It's great for edge cases. It's great for, I just had a meeting with a client, or I'm on a meeting with a client and I want to model something out really quickly on the fly and create some sort of visualization. We've also had a lot of our clients say, hey, I want something that's a little bit more deterministic, right? I want something guardrailed. I want something where AI can take all of the unstructured data that you have access to and then put it into a templated format that's consistent every single time. So we're trying to do both. And I think we're close to rolling out a solution that accommodates both. I mean, the technical aspect of what's going on under the hood on Wavvest Planning, we're happy to follow up with more information on like how we've actually architected the solution under the hood. But hopefully that like sort of answers the question a little bit, right? Just there's this deterministic way to do things and non-deterministic way to do things. We're trying to bridge the gap a little.
All right. Thank you, Brendan. There was a question that came in about, will there be a recording of this webinar? I'll go ahead and answer that one. Yes, we will send a recording of this webinar in a follow-up email to all attendees. So be on the lookout for that in the coming days. And then here, I think we have one more question that just came in. It says, can the tool manage planning situations where the investor invests in the US but is citizen on other countries?
Yes, I think this is one where we need to do a little bit more digging. We do have some clients who have like we do have some RIAs that have clients who are dual citizens. I think because we're a US regulated entity, we've sort of focused primarily on US domiciled end customers. We do have some people that have used it for international clients. I think it isn't designed for them, candidly. So that's something we have to dig a little bit more into. If the person who had that question, wants to reach out directly, we're happy to kind of dig into that use case a bit more. But there's probably a little bit more we need to do to accommodate that in the best way possible.
Thank you for that, Brendan. Okay, I think we've gotten through all the open Q&A sessions. We'll give it one more second to see if there's anybody else that has any other questions. All right. All right, so this wraps up today's webinar. Thank you for spending your time with us. We hope you found this webinar of Apex and our amazing client Wavvest valuable. Again, if you have additional questions that come to mind after the webinar, don't hesitate to reach out to your RM if you are a current Apex client, or reach out to Wavvest. Again, we will follow up with all of you after this webinar with contact information. We'll also quickly follow up if any other Q&A questions might come in that we aren't able to get to. But with that, on behalf of John, Brendan, and the entire teams here at Apex and Wavvest, thank you once again for joining us. Have a great day, and we hope to connect with you guys soon. Thank you, everyone.